Welcome to the Final Hour Podcast, coming to you from the original Living Word Christian Center out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. My name is Jim Hammond.
I'm Lonaiah Farrell.
John Gap.
I'm JD.
Lonaiah Farrell, her new nickname is Lonaiah Farrell.
It's true, guys.
Lonaiah Farrell.
This is my friend AJ Farrell.
Welcome back, Lonaiah.
Yeah,
Great
we
to
missed
be
you.
back. It's nice to be back.
I missed my partner over there
I know.
slinging silliness
I
back and
saw
forth across the
some
table.
of those didn't fly with the junior last week, so
Hey,
you tried.
Jerry picked up
I
the
saw
slack.
it.
Jerry did.
Jeremiah did. Made me laugh.
He
He did. You made me laugh, Jerry.
He didn't let me slide as the
No,
official
John
panda.
thought he was okay, and then all of a sudden Jerry came with a zinger.
That's real
It
funny,
was
John.
awesome. It was so
Was
funny.
funny.
Well,
I loved it. That was good stuff, Jerry.
The last thing I did before coming in here, I ran back to get Rick Renner's book, new book, and I saw an email from Les.
You know what they say, less is more.
Les
Less.
is got to be, and if Andy Wanamaker is okay with this, he's got to be the vice president of Lonaiah's fan club.
I love less.
His email, he just wrote in and said, they did good without you.
but
He said, question mark. Like something was missing.
Nice.
Like,
it was true.
appreciate that.
Lonaiah
It was true.
is a very controversial figure.
Yeah.
I am.
She gets the most criticism, usually by women saying she talks too much. Although if you figure it out, she talks the least.
Yeah.
Or they love her.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's the confident women.
You love or hate me.
Love
There's a song about that.
Lonaiah.
But
Yeah.
on the other hand,
Jim's got some.
I have my own fan club
The three
right
amigos.
out of Wisconsin.
Three amigas.
Yes,
Three amigas. Yep.
the three
The
amigos.
plaque of.
Yes, Anne, Cindy, and
That's some
Renee.
official. That's
Yeah.
some official fandom
They
right
spent
there.
some money on that.
Yeah.
And so, listen, if you're
Jim's
just
proud of that. It sits in the office, perched on
if you're just now
the table.
tuning in, can I just be real with you?
Be real.
We're not really into our fan clubs. We're being sarcastic. We're just being kind of dorky. Okay, we don't care that Lonaiah has 11-person fan club with now a president and a vice president. I have
official. That is
3
real
people
official.
in the state of Wisconsin alone, and no one else. And John
Mine's anonymous.
John has 8 anonymous. It's
Wow, he had 7 last week. So look at you.
Yes,
8.
one more emailed
Oh, I
in.
did join the
And if
club.
you-
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
you can't join
You
the
can't.
John
Why?
Gap fan club.
Why?
Well, I was.
Well, you
I
got to
was
talk
gonna-
to Jerry.
Oh,
So,
we're calling it
No spies.
Johnonymous.
He said no spies.
anyways, look. Okay, if you're just tuning in, we're
John
messing
Anonymous.
around.
That's what
Okay,
that's what
we're
we call
not
him.
trying.
Jim's being funny, guys. It's about time.
Just
Zing.
just weird funny, not even funny, right? Just
I think they call that dry humor.
yeah, okay. Well, I don't know what wet humor is, but dry humor, right? Listen,
Oh, Lord.
this one's called a conversation between fallen angels, the Book of Enoch. We're talking about this book that's come out recently by Rick Renner. He's a respected Greek scholar. He does. I'm sure he doesn't call himself a historian, but he truly is. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at the things he wrote on the 7 letters to the 7 churches in Revelation, chapters 2 and 3. When I did the Revelation series, I used exclusively his stuff on that. He's been here at my parents' church, Living Word Christian Center in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, many times as a guest minister. He's written many bestsellers. He's published multiple different books in multiple different languages all over the world. He's an overseer of an association of churches called the Good News of Association of Churches, and he's a founder of a church in Moscow, Russia, called the Good News Church. But he's written this book titled Fallen Angels, Giants, Monsters, and the World Before the Flood, with a subtitle there, How the Events of Noah's Ark and the Flood are Relevant to the End of the Age. I would say how they're relevant right now. And we have done 7 episodes now on this subject of the fallen angels, the offspring of the fallen angels, the Nephilim, Genesis 6, those early verses. And you're going to have to view those. Now, I'm not going to go there's too much to review. We would spend, I can't review this. We're just telling you that Jesus said, in the end, the end of days will be exactly, and if you look in the Greek, as it was in the days of Noah. That means the Nephilim are going to be involved.
Yep.
The fallen angels are going to be involved. I don't know what to think of this, but there are sightings. And I know you think I'm out there, but we've got a link. You look at it for yourself. I don't know what to think about that. It doesn't surprise me. And I take it with a grain of salt. I've looked at these videos. You can look at our More section on YouTube. By the way, please do subscribe. It has helped us so much, right? And to subscribe on Rumble, you got to like it.
Yep.
YouTube, obviously, it says subscribe.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it says on Spotify?
On Spotify and Apple, it's follow the show.
Follow the show. That is subscribing.
It's the plus button.
And it helps us. It helps us really, in the end, retain more views.
Yeah.
Based on your subscribers. But it doesn't, I take these videos with a grain of salt. I'm not a professional. And if these videos are real, and you can look at our More section on YouTube, they all have a section where we show you where we get our information. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, it's hard to believe anything today.
Yeah.
Because there's so much deceit.
Well, you can generate a lot of things with AI.
This is
true.
This is showing. And there's another one in Thailand that we don't have. There are videos coming out of these creatures. Rick Renner says in his book, there are 270 stories from around the world of the flood in regards to Noah's Ark from ancient cultures that were never in contact with each other. 80% of these 270 stories from ancient cultures about the flood from different ancient cultures all tell the exact same story. What a coincidence.
Wow.
One of the most ancient records there is called the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yep.
Have you read it, John?
I have read about the epic. We talked about that. That his sarcophagus or his
Esophagus.
his sarcophagus was in Babylon, and that was part of why we raided Iraq.
Oh.
Look,
under Hillary Clinton's watch.
They've looked at. They've always said he's just a myth, but he's not. Archaeology has proven that Gilgamesh was a king. He was an ancient king. They've proved it through archaeology that Gilgamesh was more than a legend, more than a myth. He was a real king. He was a king located in Mesopotamia. And Gilgamesh, it says in this legend, went in search of the guy that built the ark. This is another culture outside of the Bible. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, it says in that story that the builder of the ark, and it doesn't give Noah's name, he has a different name in Gilgamesh's story, settled at the base of a saddleback mountain.
Interesting.
And if you go where the ruins of Noah's Ark are today, you got to go to previous episodes. Noah's Ark is real. It's been discovered. It's been found. There's a Noah's Ark National Park on the border of Turkey and Iran. But where Noah's Ark sits right now is at the base of a saddleback mountain.
Yep.
And that's what it said in the legend or the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Wait, can I say something really quick that I just read about Gilgamesh? Remember when Hobby Lobby bought biblical fact tablets and they got taken from them? They seized them. I just read that it was the dream tablets of Gilgamesh's thing that they had that the government seized from them. Isn't that interesting? The Hobby Lobby people actually bought these biblical tablets. And everyone was like, why did you get to... I think they paid like $1 million. Yeah. And the government was like, no, you can't buy those. And they just seized them from Hobby Lobby.
Something they don't want you to know.
Yeah.
Because all of that gets stored by the Smithsonian.
True.
Where all the other artifacts that love the giants in North America, all of that gets co-opted governmentally by the Smithsonian. And then it never sees the light of day.
Never.
Noah's Ark actually has a park. They have like a visitor center, and it's on the border of Turkey and Iran. But where Noah's Ark sits is at the bottom of a saddleback mountain, just like what the Epic of Gilgamesh says. That matches the story that we know. A Mesopotamian king. For years, we believe this was a myth. What's described as the Epic of Gilgamesh, archaeology has proved that he is a real king. And Gilgamesh actually sat down with the creator of the ark in this story, had multiple conversations with Noah to find out what happened before the flood. Remember, Noah lived after he got off the ark for 350 more years. Plenty of time for Gilgamesh to be born, for other civilizations, for stuff to start to split up. The earth would have been close to repopulated. Remember, in 400 years time span, you went from 77 members of Jacob's family, or 75 or 72 or something like that. Remember when Joseph brought over Jacob and his family after they found out he was the prime minister of Egypt, and he brought Jacob's whole family, which basically the 12 tribes of Israel come from that. That was a 400-year time span from the time that Jacob's family came over into Egypt to when Moses showed up. 400 years, 2 million Israelites. Okay, it's my point.
They were very fruitful.
Okay, so it went from 72 Israelites to 2 million in 400 years. 72 people, right? Now, what I'm saying is they got off the ark. There's probably a couple million people on Earth 350 years later.
Right.
We're talking about Noah living 350 years. He repopulated the earth. Who knows? You got 2 million on the time of Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is the king of in Mesopotamia. He's actually a descendant of Noah. Duh. We all are.
Has to be.
Yes. And if you think about it, Noah gets off the ark, and they are the only humans on the earth at that time. The Epic of Gilgamesh, obviously, you don't treat like the Bible. It's got a lot of paganism in there, but it does have the basics of Noah and the ark that line up with where the ark came to rest.
Yeah.
And as we said last week, some of the Greek philosophers that we get a lot of our secular history from named a few: Jerome, Tertullian, Anaxagoras, Josephus. All these guys talk about the angels, talk about the ark, the fallen angels that rebelled against God. They took on a form. These guys talk about angels taking on a form where they can have sexual relations with a woman. This is outside the Bible. Guys that rely on their writings, that we rely on their writings. Well, we take what they say for secular history.
Right.
We teach what they say in secular history, but we're not going to believe what they're saying about all this other stuff.
Right.
But we're going to believe everything Josephus says, just not what he says about mythical beasts, Noah's Ark, and fallen angels turning into human form. I see commentary from Josephus in some Bible translations in the Dake Bible. If you look in the Dake Bible, Josephus saw Jesus and writes a description. He writes a literal physical description of Jesus.
Interesting.
Right? So you can find that in the Dake Bible. So the fallen angels have sexual relations with women. Women give birth to these giants. What we talked about last week, you've got the Book of Enoch, which, don't frown at that. Actually, the half brother of Jesus, Jude, references, quotes the Book of Enoch in Jude.
Right.
The Book of Enoch is not canonized Bible. I'm not saying treat it like the Word of God, but it's a great historical reference point.
Right.
It is amazing. It's commentary, almost like if you're going to read the Hebrew rabbis.
Right.
The same kind of thing. You don't take everything they say as the Bible, right? It's not the Word of God, but it can definitely help your understanding. That's how the Book of Enoch is in regards to the giants, the Nephilim, the fallen angels. Enoch was the father of Methuselah. Methuselah takes us right up to the point of the flood. And these fallen angels, they didn't marry. We're not talking about a wedding ceremony. Mm-hmm. That Hebrew word in Genesis 6 means they took them. They literally took the human women and raped them. And they kidnapped them. This was the reason for the flood, because these things were going on. So and they started to populate the earth. And why were they doing these things? We've told you this. Satan entices these angels to carry out this deed or act of having sexual relations with human women so that the human gene pool would be corrupted to try to stop the birth of what's called the seed of the woman in Genesis 3:15, that God prophesied would ultimately crush Satan's head. Check this out. Book of Enoch, 1 Enoch, chapter 6, 1 through 8. A conversation between fallen angels. It came to pass after the children of men had increased in those days, beautiful and comely daughters were born to them. And the angels, the sons of the heavens, saw and lusted after them and said to one another, Behold, we will choose for ourselves wives from among the children of men, and we will beget for ourselves children. We'll get our own children. And Semjaza, who was their leader, that's the name of this fallen angel.
Yeah.
I fear that perhaps you will not be willing to do this deed, and I alone shall suffer for this great sin. Because he was all in. He's like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And he said to them, so this is what he says. So you're going to have to swear an oath. We will swear an oath, and we will bind ourselves mutually by a curse, that we will not give up this plan, but will make this plan a deed. This is out of the Book of Enoch. Then they all swore together and bound themselves mutually by a curse. And altogether, there were 200 of them. Wow. And they descended on Ardi, which is the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn on it and bound themselves mutually by a curse. These are the names of their leaders. Go ahead, John. Here we go.
Semjaza, who is their leader, Baramik, Akibel, Tamiel, Remuel, Danel, Ezekiel, Sarakijal, Asael, Armers, Batral, Anani, Zapabi, Samzavil, Sartel, Turel, Jumjael, and Arizjal. I don't know how to do.
These
are very difficult to pronounce.
These are this is right out of the Book of Enoch. This is Enoch wrote this.
Yeah.
These are the leaders of the 200 angels, and the others were all with them.
Is that when he talks about how they all walk out of the mountains together, and it's like everyone just stops and stares at them? I've heard that story be told. I feel like it was from Rick Renner.
Sounds cool.
Where he says all of a sudden these giants just descended out into like society. So it must have been right after that, after they said, let's go do this. And then they just...
We shall do this thing.
Think of that. That is wild.
And he says, we're going to take an oath to make sure none of you chicken out.
Yeah.
And you know where those guys are now? They're chained in hell. That's what it says. And Peter and Jude, we've given you those scriptures. God punished them. So God acts... And look, this before... this happened after the flood also.
Yeah.
Okay, so this not this is before the flood, but after the flood it happened again. All right. God actually, from different angels, God actually waited. A lot of scholars believe that Noah's family was the last untainted, genetically clean family left on earth.
Wow.
And Rick Renner also believes that God waited in his mercy till the last moment before sending the flood. You know, the Book of Enoch talks about the fallen angels actually taught different types of technology.
Yeah.
The Book of Enoch talks about the fallen angels
Crazy.
teaching the women how to put on makeup.
That is crazy.
Interesting.
Rick Renner, just like we just read in the Book of Enoch, believes this is going to be there's going to be another incursion.
Yeah. It seems
where the days of Noah, where more fallen angels are sleeping with women, if that hasn't already happened.
Yeah.
Okay? Because remember, Jesus said it was as in the days of Noah. That's the last days. That's the end of days. That's when we're getting to the end. That's when we get to the rapture and the tribulation. That's when we get to Armageddon. Jesus says it will be as it was in the days of Noah. In the Greek, he was saying exactly. Exactly the way it was. So, don't screw around with the Bible. It means exactly what it says.
Do you want to know something interesting?
Yes,
Please, John.
always.
The UN, and I'm just looking on Google Earth here right now just to make sure I'm not saying weird things, but the UN has a facility on top of Mount Hermon. I've got it right here. And I've heard things talked about before when I first heard about the Mount Hermon thing and the 200 fallen angels, but there are, I'm not saying it's anything, but I am saying that the UN has a facility with nothing else around up on Mount Hermon.
The crooked UN.
Maybe they're housing some.
I hate the UN.
I think it's
leaders
I
there.
think it's a meeting area, and yeah,
Crazy.
who knows what
Makes-
the fallen angels are still doing.
I can't stand the UN. I can't stand anything they stand for. They're an evil organization, okay?
Yeah,
And if
we're
you
gonna
don't
talk about
understand
them
that,
later. We're going to talk about them later in the news.
you're ignorant if you don't understand that. So don't screw around with what the Bible means. That's exactly what it means. What it says is what it means. Remember now, there are many experts that say that these UFOs that suddenly are just a normal thing, where it used to be said if you saw a UFO, people called you crazy.
Right.
It's a normal topic, even in the U.S. government, House of Representatives. There are multiple experts that are saying what these things are, these UFOs, these Navy pilots are seeing. All these videos, they're not extraterrestrials. They're interdimensionals. They're coming from another dimension. They're coming out of the spirit world. There is a dimension that you cannot see with your regular eyes. And the Bible makes it so clear. There's a gift more than just one. I mean, the Bible, these things are all over the Bible. There's a gift of the Holy Spirit called the discerning of spirits that allows you to see into the fourth dimension. Lonaiah has a little bit of it.
Yes. I was going to say unfortunately, but that's not the right word to say. Sometimes it can be intense. I feel like I feel it more than I see it.
She had to go to Indonesia before she knew. Well, no, you've seen
No,
stuff
I have
all
all
your
my
life.
life, but
Okay. Yeah.
but I haven't. I mean, I guess I can. I can like look at somebody and be like, okay, I see what they're dealing with. But let me tell you, there was one night when we were camping and we were by the woods in California. We were in Mammoth.
Into the woods.
And that was the
Who was camping? You, your son. How old's your son?
22.
And your daughter, who's you dropped off
19.
at college, 19.
Yeah.
And your husband, how old is he?
44. I think
Okay.
I'm 43.
He's about
I
the
don't-
same age as me.
Am I 43 or 42?
You
40.
are 43.
Okay, I'm 43.
Oh, when was your birthday?
January 20th.
Oh,
January.
You might only be 42.
January 27th is Lonaiah's birthday.
43.
January
81.
27th for
81.
Andy. You want to write that down? Andy Wanamaker, and
you're
your new
43.
Andy, are you
I'm
okay
43.
with Les being your vice president? We'll see.
We'll see. But anyways, let me tell you, you can feel things in those woods. And I had I had a dream that my soul was trying to be sucked out of my body.
Can I
Literally,
can I
that
tell
was
you something
What?
about that and about national parks?
I know. I thought about that.
National parks are also the same. You can overlay the national parks map with the underground caverns and cave systems in the United
I believe
States,
that.
where also you can overlay a third map, which is the most abductions or
Yes, I've
missing
heard that.
persons.
Because there's weird things that
maps
happen.
in
The dog man.
No, the staircases that lead to nothing.
But also, I mean, we've talked about about giants in like that.
Yes.
In the mountains of Kandahar that they lived in caves.
We're going to talk about a giant that somebody saw in Colorado.
Right.
But let me go
So
ahead.
I'm just saying, you may have been in that area where there is a spiritual.
I know what I
effect.
felt there.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
The Indians were talking about this
Yeah.
before there was any social media.
Right.
They have the same. Okay. You know, listen. This
Go
stuff,
to Reddit if you want.
I
to
tell you
know.
what I love though is when Rick Renner says
Yeah.
this stuff's coming.
Yep.
Okay, and it's going to blow people away. That is big.
I agree with you.
That is big. Okay, that's what that makes me know we are good.
We're
talking about this.
We're not crazy.
No,
Cray cray.
No, we're
say.
not.
No,
But like
no.
you think about it'll be like the days of Noah where women or men or whatever will want to sleep with the giants, and you look at I know we're gonna fast forward here, but you look at like the Epstein thing, the Diddy thing, and you say those people they're pretty open to anything happening and doing anything with anybody. So obviously there's a reason, right, why that whole industry is the way it is, the music and the film industry in Hollywood. And then you're like, oh, okay. They'll go to these influential people and they already have access to everybody. Everybody does everything they say most of the time, you know?
As
so
we're
you're like,
finding out with P. Diddy.
yeah, it's disgusting. But I'm just saying, like, you put all that
Sean
together and you're like,
Combs. 2 Kings 6:15 through 18.
yeah, anyway.
What did you?
No, me and John just.
Yeah.
No, I don't have anything else to say about Diddy. I mean, I have a
I'm
lot to
over
say
here-
about Diddy, but
Yeah, exactly.
That's just the beginning. You know what's going to come from all this? I think the blood drinking's coming out on this.
yeah,
I think. Okay, Sean Combs, i.e. P. Diddy. You cannot find that. You can only find the basics of that on NBC, CBS.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it's unbelievable what's coming out.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
well, people.
it has to be on. You have to see it on social media, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Thank God for things like Twitter, right? That
Where
guy
it's an
bought
open
Twitter.
platform?
So Facebook isn't hiding this stuff.
No.
Wow, shocking.
I mean, I think
It's
there's
a little
enough.
censored.
There's enough spicy that they can't say everything on there, but there are posts, like general posts about it.
Listen, 2 Kings 6:15 through 18. We're talking about another dimension. Another dimension. Did you want to say something?
While we were talking, I just was looking at more of the Mount Hermon stuff, and it's
UN. What a coincidence.
So it's called. They have a facility at the top of Mount Hermon at the peak
where the angels did the oath.
They call it the United Nations Disengagement Observer Force, UNDOF, and it's a permanently manned facility on Mount Hermon called Hermon Hotel. That's what they.
Can you stay in it?
Not as a hotel. Probably. It's not a real hotel.
Well, maybe.
But
Oh, I see UNDOF. I see it.
it was established to monitor disengagement of Israel and Syrian forces in the Golan Heights after the 1973 war.
Which I'll say, when you're in the Golan Heights, you see UN
know.
trucks everywhere.
There's any sorts of things that the UN could be doing out of that facility. I'm not here for conspiracy. I'm just saying it's
These
interesting.
are just facts.
These
That's
are
a fact that it's there.
It's there, and this is also the place where 200 fallen angels met and conspired to create a race of inhuman
The
giants.
highest temple and shrine sits on Mount Hermon. Crazy.
So, not a coincidence. 2 Kings 6, when the servant of the man of God arose early, this is verses 15 through 18 in the Amplified Classic, and went out, behold, an army with horses and chariots was around the city. So they were surrounded. They were being chased down by the Syrians. Elisha was. Elisha's servant said, "Alas, master,
Alas,
what shall we do?"
Wow.
And Elisha
Did you try for any school plays when you were a kid?
Elisha said, "Fear not, for those with us are more than those that are with them."
don't sweat it, bro.
Yes. And so Elisha's saying, there's more. We've got more on our side. The servant's like, "What are you talking about? I can't see anything." Then Elisha prayed, "Lord, I pray you open his eyes that he may see." The Lord opened the young man's eyes, and he saw, behold, the mountain around them was full of horses, chariots of fire round about Elisha. Horses and chariots of fire, angels. And when the Syrians came down, their army came after Elisha. Elisha prayed, "Smite this people with blindness, I pray you." And God smote them with blindness. And you know what he did from that point? He led the whole Syrian army back to Israel as prisoners because they're blind.
That is a crazy story.
The works that
How
Jesus
amazing.
did,
Yeah.
shall we do also.
It's true.
Smote him with blindness.
Smite them.
And so, listen, I'm too afraid to do that.
Smite someone with blindness.
What if you
To even try.
Yeah.
I would like to.
You'd like to smite some
Yes,
people with
I
blindness?
would. The whole UN. Listen, Elijah says, "Fear not, those are with us are more than what the king's army." And then he prayed to God and let his servant see the angelic host. See, this is you know where they came from? Another dimension.
Right.
Just like the UFOs. Okay? Just like the UFOs. He got to see into another dimension.
Right.
Listen, when Rick Renner says he believes in the near future, there is going to be a big disclosure of the fallen angels. Yep. Therefore, if the fallen angels come, you're going to have the Nephilim, all right, because they're the offspring. It's going to shake the world. He thinks it's in the near future. That blew my mind when I heard him say that.
That is crazy.
And his words.
It has to happen, though.
It does.
In his words, Christians, it will shake their faith.
Yeah, I mean,
but it shouldn't shake your faith because you're a Final Hour podcast listener. It won't surprise you.
And you're watching. We're all watchers. We watch.
It lines up.
That's right.
It lines up.
Watchmen on the towers, the walls.
Watchmen
what's the name? We have a
verse.
A thing at the on the Final Hour podcast. What's the
Watchmen on the walls?
Yeah.
It's the final plan. It shall be as in the days of Noah. We've talked to you about this. There's going to be a deception. And fallen angels are going to say, "Yeah, Jesus, he's just another fallen angel."
Boy, he was a good guy, though, wasn't he?
Yeah. There will be deception in it. The Bible says that Satan will come with all power, signs and wonders.
Yeah.
The church right now is the only thing that is restraining that. The prayers of the church. I have to say, the book of Joshua, just about every single nation, except for I think one, that Israel went to war with, that Joshua went to war with, and took their land away from them, they were giants.
Yeah.
They weren't Palestinians, okay? There were no Palestinians.
No, didn't they say we only come up to their kneecaps? We look like grasshoppers in their eyes?
They look like grasshoppers in our own eyes as well as theirs.
Yeah.
Caleb and Josh were like, yeah, but God's on our side. Let's do it.
Enoch.
And they did?
I don't know.
Imagine, though.
We're going to give you more and more of the... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was done.
We were just...
We're going to give you more and more of the Book of Enoch going forward.
I think I might want to read that book.
The women have brought forth giants. Enoch 9:9. Thereby the whole earth has been filled with blood and wickedness. And we're going to get into this next week. First Enoch 8:1-3. Remember, the first brother of Jesus, or the half-brother of Jesus, quotes the Book of Enoch in Jude. If it's good enough for Jude, it's good enough for me. Is it canonized Word of God? No. Is it great history, great commentary, great biblical history? Yes.
When you think about warfare right now in the world and the description of Armageddon with the blood would be up to the horse's bridle, is such a devastating loss of life, that it doesn't seem like the way war is right now. But if you have people running wars that don't care about human life, like the Nephilim,
right?
Don't.
Good point.
And what you just read, what did it say? I don't remember exactly what you said, but the brutality of that happening in Armageddon, that's like
savage behavior.
Now it starts to make sense because it's hard to picture with the type of warfare that we currently have in the world. You don't
be
you
blood
don't
up
see
to
that.
your shoulders.
Right.
You'd be standing in a river of blood if you're in Megiddo.
Crazy.
And you, by the way, in Israel, we'll overlook. It's one of the major. It's such a wonderful. Oh, I love that place. But
Does
listen,
it feel crazy to think that there's going to be the Armageddon in that place?
Yeah,
because it doesn't look like a battleground, or
well, Napoleon got there and said, "What a great place for a battle."
yeah.
He looked at Megiddo. He looked at
crazy.
Megiddo and said, "What a great place for a battle."
Well, because you could have all of your intelligence up on the hills, and then all of the fighting in the valley. Is that basically how it sets up, or?
Yeah, there's mountains. It's surrounded by mountains. But the general like him, he wants to just match up
Right.
army to army, and he thinks he can beat you with. He's going to look at your formation.
Right. Yep.
And like Alexander,
Right.
and he's going to make adjustments and beat you.
Yep.
So he wants flat land.
Yeah.
Face to face, same numbers. He didn't care if he had less people. Mm-hmm. And Alexander was really the same way.
Right.
That's why I think he thought it was perfect, right? Because it's going to be tough if you're down there in the valley. You're there to fight. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're going to be hiding in the hills.
Right.
So real history. Look at the Book of Daniel. The Book of Daniel talks about Cyrus the Great, real king, real conqueror, secular history. Alexander the Great. The Book of Daniel talks about, there's real history. The Bible is real history.
Yeah.
We will know it prophesies about the Bible prophesies Alexander the Great and Cyrus the Great in advance. The same way the Book of Daniel quotes the name of Cleopatra, not the actual Cleopatra, but Daniel 11 talks about one of Cleopatra's descendants, because that name kept coming. Children.
Over and over.
And she was from the Ptolemy regime.
Right.
Cleopatra was half Greek, half Egyptian, and so listen to this. First Enoch 8:1-3. The sinning angels taught mankind to make swords, knives, shields, coats of mail, taught them to see what was behind them.
Yeah.
What? Mirrors, right? And their works of art, bracelets, ornaments, and the use of rouge, the beautifying of the eyebrows,
Thank
and the
goodness.
dearest and choicest stones, and all coloring substances, and the metals of the earth, how to use the metals of the earth. And there was great wickedness and much fornication, and they sinned, and all their ways were corrupt. One of them taught all the conjurers and root cutters, one of them the loosening of conjurations, one of them the astrologers,
Wow.
one of them the signs, one of them taught astrology, one of them taught the course of the moon. We're going to get into this next week. Also, remember, they were eaters of human flesh, and they also, I thought we had, we're Well, we're going to prove next week through the scripture, through the Book of Enoch. This is where the mythical beasts come from.
Ooh.
They had sex with animals. It's in the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give you those
That's where
scriptures
there's
next week.
ligers.
No, I think
We saw it in the book. I was asking if because
exactly.
Tiger and a lion.
Right.
But they're saying that they mated them together. That's why
Yes,
they came
they
about.
did. Okay. They did.
They were into husbandry. Is that what that's called?
Yes.
They did start. Yes, they did a lot of that.
Because I was asking Jim.
I was like,
I know.
I thought
hold
you were
on.
going Minotaur and Centaur, but
no, I
you
went
liger.
ligers. But I was asking Jim
Tiger and a
because
lion.
I said to Jim because I was like,
she shows me a picture of a liger.
This is a liger.
okay. I was asking if the Nephilim at that time like turned into the sea urchins, like the sirens and the
the mermaids.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I can't see why that is out of bounds. As you know, if we're talking about centaurs and minotaurs,
right.
Well, I think the mermaids are a product of. I mean, anything was going
But
on.
then I said maybe
everything was going on.
Go back to the Little Mermaid, okay?
Yeah.
When they went to the bottom of the ocean, I know I always
Right.
go back to Disney movies. Their souls were chained to the bottom. They had to give up their souls in
Isn't that a coincidence?
to turn
Right.
into a human, right?
Right.
But they're chained to the bottom of the ocean. And I thought, what's that guy's?
The Little Mermaid had
which one?
Who's the guy who's like chained in the depths of the earth in the water, like at the bottom? Why can't we think of his name? We talked about him before.
the
what? The Euphrates?
Yeah. What's his name?
Oh, you mean Apollyon?
Apollyon.
Yes.
He's-
yes.
Well, he comes out of the earth. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, like, look at the Little Mermaid. Like, look at that
Yes.
Little Mermaid
The Little
movie.
Mermaid had souls chained at the bottom of the
Right.
ocean.
Right, that's-
this stuff is
It's because it's so out of what we would normally talk about. It seems fantastic, but it's like this is.
Yeah, Disney makes it magical.
I was gonna say who's the god in the Old Testament that's half man, half fish? That was it, Dagon?
yes, that's a Philistines guy.
Yeah, and
Came out of
He
the
was
water.
he was like
he's a half man with
King
a
Triton?
tail of a fish.
he's like King Triton. All right.
Yeah, it's King Triton.
He was basically, and he when the Ark of the Covenant was in the
King
temple
Triton
with
from
him,
the Little
he,
Mermaid is
Yeah.
Dagon.
yeah, and that's that's
And
Ariel's.
think she had to make a human fall in love with her. That was her goal on Earth.
all that. It's just
What?
Well,
interesting to look at that.
Leave it to Lonaiah to put this
But
all into
Nephilim
Little
to
Mermaid.
Little Mermaid.
All right.
So with that,
Well, we
have-
know Disney is a demonic
Yes.
force.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, a bunch
anyways.
of Satan worshippers, in my opinion.
I mean, it's a great place to go visit. Been there with my kids. It's great. It's magical.
Yeah,
It's Disney.
I'm sure it is.
Have you never been to Disney?
As a kid, I'm sure it's changed.
No.
I
it's
went.
the same.
Oh, it's totally different. When I was 14, from the time
I mean, it still like has the same basics. It just has new things added. It's fun.
Yeah,
John, have you
like
been?
Nephilim? I have.
Yeah, like the Star Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
you
makes you think of Darth Vader a little differently. All right, anyways. So, Jim, we were talking about the UN. So, we have 2 news articles on the UN. So, this week, the UN, which John pointed out this morning, that you can't find this anywhere on
This is rough. Yeah.
the internet.
Yep.
But they're meeting in New York
Yep.
to install 3 global governance tools, and nobody's talking about it, right? Remember, the
Nobody's
UN and the
talking
World
about
Health Organization
Who?
are trying to
Who?
create.
The who?
Who cares?
They do too much. I don't want them to
Our
carry.
World Health Organization.
They're
Who?
trying
The who?
to create the pact where they can have the global pandemic treaty, right?
Yeah.
So they're all encompassing one power,
Yeah.
one government, one world sovereignty.
Which, though, over the last 2 years, we have defeated. We've definitely struck down in Congress, like even being part of that WHO treaty.
Yep.
But it's being elevated into the UN General Assembly, not just located in the WHO.
right.
So it's crazy that it got defeated so many times, but yet it's coming up in they're not
and
stopping.
just their legislators.
They're
so
not
this
stopping that.
This will
is-
do what we're afraid of.
No, listen. The UN aims to have 3 international agreements signed by this week. Okay.
Yep.
One is called the Pact for the Future, One is called, and it's the language in this is obviously like ridiculous jargon, but basically they're putting policies into place to have an ESG social credit score in your banking system, and so that they can impose like left-wing values through financial systems, so they control what you do and how you get your money, right? And they promise to have members of this state to have universal access to sexual and reproductive health for women. Huh. Crazy.
AKA abortion.
Yep. Well, and also reproductive rights, all that. Yeah. But they're also saying that in this pact, they have a call for an emergency platform that they can always have control. Like they can't ever let control up if they don't want. No one can tell them, like, hey, you can't do this anymore. It's constant power and control.
It is all resting on the Secretary General of the UN is the one person that gets to make this calls. And it says that it's a temporary power.
But it's not, because he can review it.
He can renew it as many times as he wants to.
Yep.
So it's perpetual, even though they say it's temporary.
Yeah, it's called a global shock. So if a global shock takes place, he can then choose to renew his power.
And guess who gets to decide whether or not it's a global shock?
Them.
Him.
The UN doofus. Yeah. And look, what that's saying is he will be in charge of our government.
Yeah.
Yep.
Our government will no longer be in charge. The American people will not have an elected government governing them. It will be those yahoos at the UN.
Yep.
This is what they're trying to do. What they were trying to do with the World Health Organization.
Yeah.
They're trying to do it now through the UN. And I think we said that. Yep. I think we said that.
Yep.
The next step is to try to do it through the UN.
Yep. So then their next declaration is on future generations. So let's remind you that the World Economic Forum has a young leaders program. Mm-hmm. So what they're doing is the United Nations is going to create an office that they would get more young people involved, right? And give them their agendas that would promote things like climate change, eliminating forms of persistent historical and structural inequalities, right? By addressing and remedying past tragedies and consequences from these things.
Changing our history.
Yep. Well, which sounds... Well, I heard that, is it California or Washington or somebody decided that they would pass the repartitions law, and that they would...
Oh, the reparations?
Yes, reparations.
Yep.
And they're going to start paying back to families whose I wouldn't be surprised. Heritages were slaves.
Right.
Okay. The third thing that they're doing is the Global Digital Compact. Okay. So this would elevate the United Nations, you guys, this is crazy, to be the global regulator of emerging technologies, specifically with artificial intelligence. Isn't that crazy? And isn't it crazy to think, like, when John points out that they're on Mount Hermon, they're in all these places, right? And all these, like, where demonic footholds are in.
Yeah.
And then they want to be in charge of artificial intelligence, which we've had many conversations about artificial intelligence and what we think about them.
I wonder if the UN Secretary General will be the title
platform
of the actual Antichrist.
Right. And remember, they want to be able to control and have AI ensure that no one is promoting hate speech, misinformation, disinformation.
Like what we're talking to you about.
Yeah.
See, that's hate speech. When we tell you the real truth that immigrants are being given $15,000, $20,000 a piece
on EBT
on
cards,
these debit cards,
and let me tell you,
that's what they call misinformation.
Yeah,
it's the truth.
Right,
it's the truth.
I saw this lady in spring. Okay, no, hold on. Let me just say this agreement would create a global governance group with the United Nations to combat misinformation in every country on Earth. Okay. Yeah, Glenn Beck says that he feels that we may be entering the realm of the Antichrist. That's what Glenn Beck said.
Oh, thanks, Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn. Okay, so another UN, this came in. Wait, hold on, Jim. In your notes, we never explained the story of the lady from Shirley who sent the video of from the Colorado mountains with the giant behind in the videos.
Oh,
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think you finished it.
I said it's in the more section.
Okay.
They can check it out.
All right.
Right, it's all in
we
there.
have it. That's from Shirley.
Look,
Thank you,
Real
Shirley.
TV picked that up.
Yeah.
and is showing the video. This is not just social.
No, it's not like ABC or something.
Yeah,
like
this
that.
is secular TV, which I thought was. That's why we put this video in there. Like, wow, they're showing this, right? This a picture of a Nephilim on the side of a mountain.
And you guys, it does. Look.
I think.
Well,
I think they're just starting to let it leak into
of course, like they did with UFOs, and it's been a 5 to 7 year progressive.
Exactly.
Because remember the UFO stuff kind of started coming around when COVID, when the lockdowns happened.
Right.
Okay. Anyways.
And then last year at where what was testimony of UFOs?
Oh, that's right.
They started
That's right.
uncovering from the United or the armed forces. They had different testimonies.
Yeah, they had like Navy
about
pilots
UFOs.
and things saying it. And let me tell you, I had a buddy who was a fighter pilot in the Air Force, and he's like, you see some things that they don't want you to know about.
Wild.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but anyways, the UN votes to dismantle Israel. Have you heard about that? They are calling for a new resolution. This came from Andy, so thank you. A new resolution.
The president of Lonaiah's fan club.
They're calling for old boundaries, arms, and trade embargo to be disintegrated, and they want to adopt to the resolution that's drafted by the state of Palestine that would withdraw Israel from the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem within the 12 months. This is what they're voting for.
The UN's taking up the resolution
from
Palestine's point of view.
Yes.
Which has always been there.
What an absolute sham.
It is. I had sent this to John last night. This isn't in the news, but Iran had made a video.
Oh, yeah.
And Donald Trump Jr. had posted it on his Instagram account. And it is, I don't know if you guys talked. I didn't watch all the news, but the assassination that took place at Mar-a-Lago against Donald Trump. Basically, Iran has a video on their, I don't know if it's like their official government website, somewhere that officials
it's a social
made.
Media account that they have.
That literally shows Donald Trump out on the golf course, and it shows a little robot and machine. Yes.
Yeah.
Like looking for him and then like acting like they're going to shoot him.
So, they set up that they were going to use that little robot to interrupt the devices of everybody that was in proximity and then
scramble them and
then
off Trump.
Yep.
And we also saw that Trump got information that Iran was somehow involved and had. I mean, obviously they're involved with this. Is what they're saying that the FBI isn't passing out. But I'm sure DeSantis will do a press conference sharing all of his information.
Yep.
Because he's like, this happened here, so I actually have jurisdiction over it.
We talked about that
we
part
did a couple weeks ago.
Florida was going to be doing its own investigation because they didn't. The departments that are prosecuting Trump shouldn't also be in charge of investigating attempts on his life. So Florida's doing their own due diligence, and I think they have the right to actually press charges against that man because it was assault in their state. So whatever the DOJ or the FBI brings against the attempted assassin, Florida can put its own.
I think in the end, the DOJ I saw in the regular news did charge him with attempted assassination.
Good.
It looked like they weren't going to.
Yeah.
Which would have been, not a surprise.
A sham.
Not a surprise.
No.
Go ahead.
So, election season is coming up, and there was a study that was done back in May. It's called a study done by Just Facts. Estimated that as many as 2.7 million non-citizens could vote in the 2024 election.
Mm-hmm.
So you have states like Arizona, Oregon, Ohio, and Texas.
Yeah.
Well, Texas and Ohio got rid of people that were integrity policies, right? And so did Arizona. But there are other states that are like, no, who was it? My sister sent it. I feel like it was like Idaho or Utah or something.
Yeah.
They just approved like 150,000 non-citizens to register to vote in their state.
Well, we've been talking about in Minnesota. There's non-residents. And,
we had that. Everyone gets a license act.
Right. Exactly.
Quick.
And Minnesota is not filtering them from the voter polls or voter registrations.
No, of course
even
not.
though they're giving non-resident or IDs, but they're still giving them the it's a fuzzy area, which can be taken advantage
area.
of. It is a gray area.
Of course it is.
So, but yeah, there's a lot of people calling Texas and Arizona and Ohio saying that that's some sort of a racist and anti-whatever.
Why? Because illegal
policy.
Aliens can vote?
Right.
That's a joke.
They found tens of thousands of people that had died and took them off the registrations or the voting rolls, and then as well as people had moved out of Texas or that state, as well as non-residents, including non-citizens. However you want to phrase.
So pray for the elections.
That group of people.
But I know we've talked about this. Remember, George Soros was going to buy a bunch of radio airwaves.
Oh yeah.
And they were going to have to do it. So when someone decides that they want to do something like that, it's like a year-long process because you have to do a bunch of background checks and you have to go through all these jumps and hoops and all these things. But the Biden administration, this shouldn't surprise you guys. They've decided to fast track this process and give him the acquisition of over 200 radio stations. Okay, you guys, his radio stations, I think I read, it affects over 165 million Americans. Right? They have access to this, spanning 40 U.S. markets. Okay, they want to get all this done in the next few weeks so that right before the elections, guess what you're going to be bombarded with on the airwaves?
Yep.
Left-wing propaganda.
Right.
Because if you've seen his son, Alex Soros, has been meeting with none other than your Minnesota state governor, Waltz. They've had 2 or 3 meetings in their private house of his, along with, I think it was somebody who was in the Clinton administration, who is John Podesta.
Yeah.
Do some digging. His ex-wife is now dating Alex Soros. Also,
Podesta is involved in some other Pizzagate stuff too.
Right, and Jeffrey Epstein, big guy up there. So know what you're voting for if you're choosing to go down that route. Who all those people are and what they're connected with. But
yeah,
wow, stay strong.
I was gonna say we didn't even talk about and we can. I'll put the info up there. So that UN stuff.
Yep.
They started talking about that last week, right at the end of the week, as well as something else. All of this came out as the Diddy stuff was dropping.
That's true.
Which is, I was just taken from this that this is the Diddy stuff and all of the accusations, which are probably true, at least mostly.
Well, there's video footage of everything. He recorded everything.
Yep, everything that's going on with Sean Diddy Combs. It seems like a big distraction from this UN thing, as well as at the same time, the 23andMe DNA. That website where they have people have given their DNA
and then it
and tells you your ancestry and whatnot. At the same time, all of the execs of that company they're no longer part of the company, and it looks like China has purchased the entire catalog of the DNA of everybody who has been part of that.
23andMe trying to find out who their ancestors are. They give DNA.
The biggest thing is you can have germ warfare that will only affect the DNA of certain families. You can program those weapons that will only affect people of a certain DNA genealogy. So there is a reason why China would want that. It's not just acquiring a company, but that could be a major weapon of someone who wants to do you harm.
Right. And Trump vowed to ban Chinese nationals from buying U.S. farmlands.
Yeah.
if he gets voted into office.
And Trump hated the UN too, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he wanted
Didn't
to
he pull us out? Yeah.
He pulled us out of the WHO.
The NATO, I thought he pulled. Yeah, he pulled us out of
And-
WHO, the
and
World
NATO.
Health
Well,
Organization.
NATO, he went to NATO and he said, "Hey, we're paying for all this stuff, and you guys aren't paying your share. You need to up
That's
your
right.
commitment."
He didn't pull us out of NATO, but
pulled
he
us out of
the World Health Organization.
World Health Organization, as well as the Paris Accords,
Oh,
Listen,
yeah, that's right.
Stay
the Climate
strong.
Accords.
Take your authority every day. The name of Jesus
Yes.
Christ. Use the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth every single day.
Yeah.
Use your authority. Stay strong in the word. All right? It helps at this time. If you're not doing it all, just read it 15 minutes a day. Just relax and start reading it 15
Isn't
minutes
there a
a day.
verse that says, "Stay strong in the Lord and in the power of His might"?
I'm strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Ephesians 6:10.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
Ephesians 6:10. What does it talk
I'm
about?
strong in the Lord. And the power
Principalities,
of his
powers.
Yes, this is a
dominions.
spiritual war.
Yeah,
You have to remain strong. It says, what did we talk about 2 weeks ago? I will fear no evil, for you are with. Okay, so that's Psalm 23, correct?
Yep.
Psalm 91 talks about. Here we go again.
Yeah,
Why? It's good stuff.
It's talking about fear.
pestilence.
It addresses fear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Fear shall not come near. Fear shall not come near me. I don't know. I'm just saying. Look, the Bible's very clear.
Yeah.
You don't have to fear.
Fear will not come near me. It does.
Here we
The
go.
noisome pestilence in the
But do you know what I
The-
love? It says like He'll cover you with His feathers,
his wings. Yeah,
and
his
when
feathers.
there's a storm and a mom has baby ducklings, she pulls them in and she tucks her wings around them, and they don't feel one thing of
Right.
the storm. They don't even know that anything's happening around and about them.
Yeah.
So that's what God will do for you there.
Yes. The fear.
There you go.
Fear. Wow. Wow.
Got to go another page.
Truth in action. Fear is the thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like fear is what is going to try to grip you. You have to address the fear. And so,
Well, fear tries to paralyze you. So obviously, why wouldn't the devil try to use fear to paralyze you?
Right.
no, it says,
To inaction.
Right.
I love verse 10. No evil shall befall thee. Well, I think that's kind of all encompassing, isn't it?
It is.
No evil.
Okay,
None.
these are promises. All right. I'm not saying I think that I have probably being a pastor. I mean, I do Psalm 91 more than anything, right? And it just gets in you. It gets in you. I speak it out loud. I think it multiple times a day. So no, that's where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Fear will not come near you.
Right.
No evil
Right.
will befall you. These are promises, but you have to stand on them. You have to believe in them. And the more that you meditate or speak them or read them, however you want to do it, just start with reading Psalm 91 once a day. What is that going to take you? 2 minutes? Okay, if you don't do anything, just read Psalm 91 once a day for starters. All right? And so, you guys got anything else?
No.
Nope.
Good.
I know there was something about fear in Psalm 91. It's just
I will
This
fear
is
no
gonna be
evil.
no. That's Psalm. We had
Oh,
this
yeah.
last week when you weren't here. You were camping you were camping, but we talked about this last
Scary
week.
woods.
Scary. Oh, but there's beauty. Let me tell you.
Beauty.
There was you try to stay in the tent all night, right? Not have to go use the bathroom, but my daughter had to go, so we went out in the middle of the night, and it's pitch black, right? Pitch black. The amount of stars you could see,
Oh, it's so beautiful.
it was like breathtaking.
Yeah.
I was, you look up and you're like, oh, it's so pretty. Like the sky looks.
Yeah.
But when you're out there in the middle of nowhere, we were
There's
in
no
Bishop's
light
Pass.
pollution.
There was nothing
Yeah.
in the middle of these mountains, and you look up, and I was like, I kind of got like choked up. Like
Yeah.
God is seriously so amazing.
Yeah.
What?
No, I was just gonna say Psalm 91 verse 5. I shall not be afraid. Same thing.
There you go.
But what is it? Of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day. So night or day, that comes right after. He shall cover us with his feathers. I mean, he's trying over and over, because you dwell. There's a secret place. You are in his shadow.
Yeah.
You know, he's your fortress. He's your refuge. In him will I trust, David says. So you have to trust this. But if you don't do anything, if you don't even address this, if you don't look at this, if you don't speak this, if you don't think about this, it cannot help you.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Right.
By being strong. Address the fear. Right? You don't have to fear. Matter of fact, you can kind of look forward to all this stuff. Just, you know what I mean?
Not touching, just being like that.
You can look forward to what we're doing now. Like, you can embrace it. You literally can embrace it.
Yeah.
Right? Our faith, I believe, takes so much more faith than what they had in Acts and the Gospels, because they saw. I mean, come on. You're going to see the Son of God for 3.5 years do 1 million miracles. I think I would believe.
I would.
Yeah, absolutely.
But our faith, you know, what we're going by is totally different. All right. And the fourth dimension is coming.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you
Dimensions
got
are
UFOs.
thinning.
You got, yes. I'm just saying we're not the Israelites. We didn't see the Red Sea part.
Right.
Okay. We don't have a glory
We don't have
cloud,
the cloud or the
leading us every
column
day.
of fire, the pillar of fire
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be?
to warm
I'm
us
just-
up at night and
I'm
keep
just
us.
saying-
And eat angel food, manna.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? You know what I thought about? Because remember, they weren't supposed to complain. So I wondered if their complaining turned the food bitter, like it changed their taste buds. Because you're like you're talking with your tongue, right? So maybe it was like tasted really good and like whatever you were
I
craving.
don't think it ever turned bitter. It's because they waited too long, right?
They would
No,
try
but
to
like they
save it.
got tired of
they
eating
tried to
it. But
save
they
it.
got
Tried
tired
to
of
save it.
eating it.
Yeah,
Is
they
what I
did.
mean
They
by
did
like
get
bitter
tired.
in their mouth.
True, because they were complaining.
Right.
That's a great
they had
insight.
They had the
on that.
manna, and then quails would just show up
Yeah.
for them to.
Quails.
Oh, no.
Quail egg.
You
Have
know when the
seen-
quails showed up, they said, we're sick of the manna.
Oh yeah.
And God says, you want some quail? You want meat? I'll give you meat.
Yeah.
And the dead quail was literally up to their hips.
Hey, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, listen.
We're not going to be here on the
Good
normal schedule. That when this drops,
Don't
that'll
we
be
have-
the
No, we
first
have
of
a next-
we
October.
have one more.
We have one more. John.
Oh yeah. Hey, my bad.
We're going to update you next week because
Sorry about that.
after this one's going to air,
Yep.
then another one's going to air.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
then we're going to air about 4 or 5
shorties.
quick hitters from
Yeah.
Israel,
Yeah.
like 5 to 10 minutes, telling you where we are. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to maybe catch Ezekiel 38 on our iPhones or their iPhones. No, just kidding. No, I'm just saying.
It'd have to be a live stream.
Right. Yeah.
John's gonna have to flip his
Yeah.
phone open, and Jim's gonna have to try to
I'll do
flip
it like
his.
this.
And I got the iPhone.
I'll
Like,
do it like that, and then I won't even have to hold it. 'Cause
wow!
We're going to.
Look at that technology right from the.
it'll be sweet. Right.
We have this one uploads, and then we have one more upload normally, and then we're going to give you 4 or 5 of these shorter ones from Israel, and then after that, we are going to take 3 or 4 weeks off. Okay, because we've done at this point it would have been 139,
Getting
140.
close to 3 years.
Right.
Wow!
So we're going to take a few weeks off because I have never missed a week.
Yeah.
And so we're just updating you. We'll update you again next week. We'll give you those dates.
Yeah.
When we'll be back on the air from our last Israel upload. It's going to be a few weeks off, and we'll give you that date next week, and when we'll be back uploading again. But it won't be long, 3 to 4 weeks. Thank you for tuning in to the Final Hour podcast. Please do subscribe, whether if it's YouTube, subscribe, Rumble, like, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. It's
Follow the show.
follow the show.
Facebook. We have Facebook.
Yes. So thank you.
Be a friend. I think it is or something. On
I
Facebook.
pray for our viewers,
Fan of the page or
Yeah.
follow the
listeners, and subscribers every day. Every day. You really, I really do. You can pray for mass groups of people. It's in the Bible and cover each and every one. And that's what I do for you every day. God bless you. We'll see you next week.